Welcome everybody to the First Friday e-call for entrepreneurs. The First Friday e-call was a brainchild of the K-State Research and Extension agents whose focus is community vitality. They want to nurture a small business environment and inspire entrepreneurship across the state. And our intention was to engage the knowledge, wisdom, and relationships of local communities with the research and experimentation of the university and the state to create vital communities. In the last 12 months, Network Kansas merged a group that it was hosting called the Rural Partners into this call, and that brought another level of richness to the participation. And some of you are here on the call for the first time because of additional outreach from the community, the economic development community this month. So I thank you all for your participation and your partnership and reaching out to help the right people get this information. I borrowed these words from Eric Peterson at Network Kansas. He says that the role of the community is to increase the local community's knowledge of, or the local entrepreneurs' knowledge of the experts, the education, and the economic resources that are available to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. Our guest today is Steve Radley, star of Film and Screen. And also, as a little side gig, he is the CEO of Network Kansas, and he's going to talk to us today about a bunch of stuff that the Network Kansas is doing. But the thing that inspired me to ask him was specifically the Kansas Community Innovators Network. So, Steve, take it away.
Okay, thank you. So I wasn't really thinking that today, and I wore a sweatshirt, so I might as well get this over with now. Congratulations to all of you K-Staters who surprisingly ruined our season. But it was a great game. You all deserved the win, even. So anyway, I just had to say that. So I talked about the Kansas Community Investment Fund about, I think it was maybe January of this year. And so Nancy had asked me to come back at the end of the year, which is hard to believe it is, and give you an update on kind of what's been going on. So I'm going to share this. This will be a little probably quicker than last time, but let's just go ahead and talk about it. So I think I won't spend much time on this slide, but I think you all know who we are, most of the people on this call, but really, you know, we're a statewide network, but we really are a network of two types of, we're two networks. We have a partner network, and we define that network as any nonprofit or government entity that provides some type of business building service to small businesses and entrepreneurs. And then we have our entrepreneurship community network, which is now 64 across the state. And so we grew some this past year, and we're excited about that. And those two networks are kind of the reason that it's really you all's work that allows us to have these opportunities to get some more assets involved in community development and economic development. So thank you for all that you're doing at the local and regional level to do that. And this is our e-community network, and I always like to show this slide because it's just an amazing slide. I just love all the communities, and I will tell you, I was at the Kansas Association of Community Foundation conference this week, and someone from the Kellogg Foundation, I was sharing information about this network, and she was just amazed by it. And what's really amazing is the work that all of you all are doing in your local communities, and we're happy to be a part of it. So the Kansas Community Investment Fund we started designing that in the fall of 2018. And basically we're working with the Kansas Health Foundation on another initiative called the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative, which, by the way, is K-State is heavily involved in and a great partner through the rural grocery initiatives. So we, the Health Foundation wanted to, what basically has happened is that the Kansas Health Foundation has been working in communities. They have similar values as us. They have a Healthy Communities initiative that they do. And what we've found is a lot of us are working on the same issues, but we need to be working more closely together. And so Network Kansas proposed this community investment fund, and the Health Foundation is putting in $500,000 a year for 3 years, and Network Kansas is matching $500,000 a year for 3 years into a loan pool to design a community investment fund that could be a model for foundations to look at possibly doing this with some of their money that's not their grant money, could be their investment money. Also to help community foundations consider using some of their assets in a more strategic way economically through potential loans to businesses. And so so we launched this in February of 2019. Some of the goals, as I mentioned, one is to be an impact investment model, creating sustainable assets for underserved communities, and underserved primarily is rural and distressed areas of urban communities as well. The focus is, and I'll get into this a little bit more detail, is really on health and community vibrancy. And so it's, this is basically we working with the Health Foundation saying, you know, what are their strategic fits and impact areas. And so those are the areas that we're looking at. The other thing that we are hoping to do, and actually we have done, I can't say who, but we have attracted additional investment that will be coming in 2020 to support the fund. And I've also made a presentation to a large statewide corporation to put money in to support the fund. And there is interest in that as well. Some of the distinguishing characteristics of this community investment fund, and these are things that if you're a foundation, if you're of any kind, these are some of the things that some of these could even be things that you would look at. And one is that there's a higher expectation of investment return than our other programs. And so we have dug deeper into evaluating impact and risk, and we expect a return. And so one example of that is our e-communities. They can kind of set their own interest rates. And some of those rates are below, I mean, they're all below, all of our loans are pretty much below market, but in this program, we expect a return. So we pretty much have a floor of 4% on these loans, 4% and up, because we want to be able to generate a return so that a Kansas Health Foundation might say, you know, let's put $5 million into this, but it's our money and we expect part of that back. As I said, it's around health and community vibrancy and portfolio fit. So I'm going to talk about this here in a minute, but in January, February, when I presented, I said, we're going to start as wide as we can and narrow based upon what we learn. And the narrowing has begun somewhat in the types of projects that we're looking at. And I already talked about the last point here. So the Kansas Community Investment Fund is a matching loan fund that is, a lot of the projects are being generated through our Network Kansas partners and e-community. So if we have a deal that comes in, basically it's as if this community investment fund, they are looking for investment. So if we get an e-community deal that fits around health and community vibrancy, this community investment fund may buy that loan out of the portfolio, and then it becomes part of the community investment fund portfolio. And the advantage for e-communities is that when that happens, there's more funding available for the e-communities. The same thing happens with our partners. And so every deal that comes through e-communities every month is sent to our internal team of me and Imogene Harris and Thomas from our referral center. We evaluate those, and if some we think fit health and community vibrancy, we will submit those to the community investment fund committee. Some other things that are going on, and I'm excited about this, is we have launched a loan fund for nonprofits. And it mirrors a lot of our loan funds for for-profit businesses in size and match and everything else. And we've kind of soft launched it. We haven't launched it across the state yet, but I'm excited that we already will be submitting a deal this month that is a nonprofit community foundation that runs a fitness center in a rural community that is expanding. Now, Network Kansas doesn't have any programs for those, but this community investment fund does. And so, because Network Kansas, our standard loan programs only do for-profit businesses. But in this case, this is being submitted directly to the community investment fund. So here is the narrower fit I was talking about. And so one of the things we are trying to make sure of is, I mean, our partner in this is the Kansas Health Foundation, and we want to ensure that the deals that we submit fit into their impact areas. And so their impact areas are these: healthy behaviors, access to care, educational attainment, and an example of educational attainment would be daycare. And then civic and community engagement. That's probably the one that's has the most room for interpretation. And so often if we kind of like one, but we're not sure it would fit, we send it to Jeff Usher and have him review it before we submit it to the committee. Jeff Usher's the Senior Program Manager for the Kansas Health Foundation. So projects funded to date. We have funded 7 businesses, $250,000. We've leveraged $1.37 million. We've done a healthcare business. Interestingly enough, kind of weird, but we got in 1 month, the same month, we funded 3 fitness centers, and we got all of those applications in the same month. From Fort Scott, Ellsworth, and Hayes. And that speaks to the map that I showed you earlier, that these e-communities are working these deals. And so these deals were bought out of e-community portfolios. Incidentally, the Fort Scott entrepreneur was also named Young Entrepreneur Business of the Year by the Kansas Department of Commerce.
Steve?
Yes.
And Stacy in our chat points out that when you named their Ellsworth fitness facility as part of the community investment, that freed up money for them to go back into the entrepreneur pool.
Yes, and that's the reason why, e-communities like it too, because if entrepreneurship communities do a loan that we buy out, because we have caps on all our loan programs, unfortunately, unless someone wants to give me $10 million, then we can undo those caps. Hey, you never know. I might as well say it out loud, right? Someone on this call might have $10 million. But all the e-communities have caps, it's a cash flow deal. And so when we buy that out, that frees that money back up for that e-community. So there is some incentive for e-communities to look for these types of deals. So I'm glad, thank you for pointing that out. That's a great point. And then the one that's a little different was the co-working space in Cortland. And that one is the community engagement. The entrepreneur is also part of the Healthy Communities initiative in that community. And in fact, one of the other people is involved in the loan programs through the Healthy Communities initiative as well. So we did have a little bit of a program change through the Health Foundation that we're hoping to change our mind again and come back to, and that is to look at some deals that are already in our portfolio. But I'll come back to that at some other time. So here's some other projects that I've said we're, you know, now the one that probably might be a little iffy is the housing. I'm not sure if the Health Foundation, if that would be in their fit, but these others are definitely like the nonprofit project related to the fitness center. That is one, you know, a community foundation. You know, there's a lot of community foundations that are actually created to try and solve a specific issue, like a fitness or like a grocery store or some of those things. So we are obviously interested in participating in those types of deals. Trails, we've heard a lot about, you know, that seems to be another coming trend that we're learning about. We haven't seen any deals related to it because it, you know, but it would be something we'd be, you know, if a nonprofit needed a loan. The one key thing about all of these deals is you got to pay us back. So we're going to do the due diligence to expect payback. So accessing the community investment fund, really, if you have a deal that you think, call Imogene, talk to Thomas, email me, Imogene and Thomas. And if it's a deal that needs worked, we will, for example, the deal I was telling you about with the Community Foundation, we actually, South Central Economic Development District is actually doing the due diligence on that deal for us. And so we will connect you to a partner who can do the due diligence on it. The one other potential positive on the nonprofit deals is that match money might potentially be money they've raised, which we don't count on the Network Kansas for-profit side, but you know, a community foundation that's raised, you know, $200,000 in donations, that's cash, that could potentially count as part of the match. Yeah, one other thing I might mention, and this is for anyone out there who is a community foundation or is an economic development director that would like to get their community foundation involved. Our first cohort of the community foundations is about completed, and that has been Topeka, Coffeyville, Norton, and Hutchinson. And we are, we'll be going through a process of selecting 4 more community foundations, and it's called the Kansas Community Philanthropy Innovators Network. We call it CPIN. And these are deep dive 2-3 day meetings with the Aspen Institute and Locus Impact Investing. And I mean, I went to the one in Coffeyville and it is intense. But all of these foundations have 6 to 10 people at these meetings that are part of their team. And it's a deep dive in considering how you as a community foundation might do impact investing. And it's I'm going to quote Tara. Tara said it was one of her first one that she went to. She's with Norton Community Foundation. She said it was one of the best things she's been through for her professional career, the first meeting. So, I mean, so if you have a community foundation that's interested, contact us, and we'll get it to the right people at Locust and Aspen for when we develop the application process. So that is it on the Community Investment Fund. I want to mention a couple of other things, and many of you have been on the calls. Nancy, do you want me to do that now, or do you want me to hold for questions? Or I got a couple slides, but
yeah, why don't you just
okay.
power on through, and we'll have several things to talk about.
Okay, so Nancy was nice enough to do a special webinar so we could talk about Impact Kansas, which is an application for new market tax credits through the U.S. Department of Treasury. And so Network Kansas and Sunflower Community Investment created a Rural Certified Development Entity, CDE, to apply for tax credits. We submitted that application, thanks to all of you, last Friday, and we actually bumped it. We had a $360 million number that we got from our partners through the KEDA, through CREDA, through all of you. Now that deployment of that money has to be 75% a rural deployment, and that's how our projects played out. And then we are also in the application, we'll create a 25% of those funds. Let's say we got it all. We got it all. Of the 70 million in new market tax credits, 25% of those would be in a small business loan fund. So I have to tell you, we're excited. I think if they read the application, if the people that are looking at it read it, we are the largest state. There's only 4 states who have never got an allocation. We are the largest of those 4 that have never got a new market tax credit allocation. And I really believe that we probably wouldn't get 70, but I think if they read the application, I don't know how they could turn us down, because we have projects all over the state in broadband and healthcare and business expansion. And I'm really excited about the application. Was 159 pages. The most complex thing it took us 6 months. We estimated 500 hours of work between us, Sunflower, and the consultant that we hired to help write it. So I just wanted to give you all an update on that, and thank you for your work, because after I did the webinar last time, we got lots of good information. And this is part of the stuff that we have learned by doing the application. Just a brief update, Network Kansas, we have done 1,032 matching loans and equity investments, 46 million. We've leveraged 419 million. And every segment that we applied for in the new market tax credits, we had an example of the big business expansion, rural broadband. We did one in Emporia. All of the different areas, we could show a track record, and it's all because of our partners. We could show a track record of that we've done it before. And so the award, U.S. Department of Treasury, I wish I could work this way. They said, well, when will we know? Well, they don't tell you. And so wouldn't it be nice to say, hey, we'll award you, but we'll let you know when, sometime in the summer. But anyway, that's how it works. So one last thing I want to mention for all of you economic development directors is that we are out, Eric and I are making lots of one-on-one visits to banks across the state to raise the money for the entrepreneurship tax credit. And so if you have a bank that you think would be interested in participating, contact me or Eric. And the e-communities have been setting up meetings for Eric, and I've met we're even wearing suits to these meetings. That tells you how important they are. Also, if there's any corporations, it's hard to identify corporations that, but we're looking for, state corporations that support small businesses statewide that would be interested in the tax credit as well. So, as I said, what we'd like to do is basically go in with the partner and meet with the bank, and that we have found that, because if the partner is sitting there, the partner can communicate to the bank much better how what we do is helping that partner at the local level. So, and that's it. I guess I talked longer than I thought I was gonna, but any questions?
You'll have to unmute your own speakers to ask a question, but we do welcome your questions now.
Steve, I don't have any questions per se, but this is Sierra. I just wanted to offer a couple things that I've kind of learned from a few of those programs. With KCIF, especially as it in regards to e-community, I just want to point out some things that have been really important when I've talked to some of my point people. One, it's in the name. We want to invest in projects, so we want some payback. And as Steve mentioned, there's kind of a floor interest rate of 4%. So with the e-communities doing lower interest rates, that's something you'll want to consider. And then as we kind of got into on one of the slides, the big benefit for e-communities is that if KCIF purchases or, purchases a project, that's money you can get back to your e-community, allocated back to you. And then lastly, that if you wanted to apply for this project or to see if KCIF would purchase a project, you could ask Imogene beforehand, but really we're just kind of taking projects as they come in. Steve and Thomas and them just kind of look at each project one by one. So there's no way to totally tell. You might just do business as usual and just hopefully KCIF will take one of those. And then the other thing I wanted to mention on the very last slide was Steve mentioning banks for helping us kind of getting connected with someone for purchasing tax credits. I just had a conversation with Eric Peterson yesterday, and he said, if it's just a branch bank president, that's cool, but maybe not the right person we need to talk to. So if it's like a bank person that's at a headquarters, somebody that actually has the authority to consider tax credits. So if you just know a banker, that might not be totally helpful. But if you know someone that could really purchase those tax credits, that's where we will really benefit.
Or refer us to the right person.
Exactly.
Yeah, these banks, it's amazing how, we're learning a lot about, I'm going to see a chairman of a bank in Kansas City, and I was looking and they have they're in 7 counties in Western Kansas too. And so, but yeah, lots of great bankers, and we're getting great response. And I think most of the bankers, we have 100 of them on our e-community leadership team. So they understand. I was talking to a banker up in north central Kansas, and he said a lot of the deals wouldn't have gotten done without our funds. And I said, can I quote you on that? Because it's great to hear when a banker's saying that tells you that it's a good fit.
So Steve, on the chat, Nick is asking what constitutes a nonprofit for the KCIF program? Is it only a 501c3, or could a local government such as a county health department use the fund? Imogene has offered to consult with him offline, but do you want to address that more broadly?
There's only one thing that we actually learned this accidentally through the KHFI initiative. We're willing to vet and look at any type of deal. So it could be a nonprofit, hospitals, a lot of hospitals are nonprofit that may need to buy equipment, but we have learned that there's government entities can't do loan. They're like cities can't borrow money through the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative. But yeah, Imogene, getting with Imogene and kind of vetting and looking at that deal would be, quite frankly, I'd like to do a deal like that, if it can be done.
Great. And then Aubrey Abbott Patterson is asking, does the purchase of tax credits count for Community Reinvestment Act funds?
Yes, it can. And so, in fact, when we go to, what we have found with banks is some of them it's really important and some of them it's not. But with our footprint across the state, we can make sure that it is. And in fact, I talked to the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City a couple of weeks ago, and one of the suggestions that I'm going to do, I haven't had a chance to, is they have a program called Investment Connection, which means that the Federal Reserve, we can apply and they will send it out to banks, but it also is kind of the Federal Reserve kind of saying, yeah, this works for CRA. So absolutely, it would help with CRA.
Stacy said, perhaps this is a more individual conversation, but is there any benefit to an S Corp for tax credits?
That's one thing we've learned is for banks that are S Corps, absolutely. I'm not sure on other corporations whether it would be helpful or not. That's one of the things that impacted us early on when the state law changes. Quite frankly, the things that have affected us now are more on the federal level. But for bank S Corps, yes. For others, it just have to check in on an individual basis. C Corps, absolutely.
Okay, very good. Those are fantastic questions. Are there any more?
Yeah, really are. I should have Aubrey talk because she's part of CPAN.
Well, she says she's signing off for another meeting now, so you lost your chance.
Just got off in time.
Yeah, just in time. So it must be your star powered, Steve, because we had a very large crowd today, 44 people, and that may be almost a record. Again, it's just the star power, and it's a tribute to their inclusiveness that they didn't get off when they saw that OU shirt.
Yeah. Well, someday I'll have to show them my film, but that is
exactly.
starring Nancy and Ron.
Yeah, there you go. So we always can divert back to this subject if you think of other questions, but now's the time in our time together to talk about things that are going on in your world. I know we have some information from Northwest Kansas that they wanted to share. Or anybody.
Hi, Nancy, this is Nick.
There you go.
Oh, I was trying to get myself off mute there. Well, good morning. I'll keep this quick. I'm not quite as dynamic as the future Oscar-winning actor, playwright, and all-round thespian that is Steve Radley, but I'll keep this relatively quick. So, in Phillipsburg, November 19th, we are hosting an event that we're calling eShip Connect. It's the second year that we've done this, and it's a lot larger this year than it was last. What this project is, we have been to, as economic development professionals, we go to a lot of conferences where we hear updates from resource partners on programs and initiatives that can help our entrepreneurs. But it's often very difficult to get that information directly into the hands of the entrepreneurs en masse as it would be. So what we did last year is we cut the economic developers out as the middleman, and we invited all of our resource partners to attend an event with our entrepreneurs where they could ask one-on-one questions that matter most to them and their businesses, whether it be marketing, raising funds, understanding legal issues, whatever their individual concern may be, we try to have someone on hand to do that. So this year, November 19th from 9 till 3, we're having this during Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's an event through the Global Entrepreneurship Network. And there's no cost to attend. We have a great lineup of resource partners, 18 of them in fact, who are representing all aspects of entrepreneurship. Network Kansas will be there, but then we also have our state departments. We have people there to represent ag, value-added ag, manufacturing, development, everything you can think of. And all entrepreneurs from across the region, or as far as they want to drive, are welcome to come up here. This isn't an event that's focused on Phillips County. We're not just doing this for our local entrepreneurs. We're doing this for the region so they can really get those answers that they need from a professional. And so often we hear that the professional is the person that comes to your community from more than 30 miles away carrying a briefcase. And it's not necessarily the economic developer in the office in the downtown area. So I'd just like to share this event. No cost to attend, but we do require registration just so we get a handle on numbers. The registration information, I believe you shared with us, Nancy, but it's found on Eventbrite as well. And it just should be a really great event, and we're excited to be able to bring this to the region.
So I'm curious, can you see the eShip brochure, or did I share the right screen?
No, I'm still on the tax credit page.
Okay, never mind. Very good. Well, thank you, Nick, for that. And I'll be sending out the flyer again after the call. Fantastic. But it does look like an exciting event.
Well, thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions, they're welcome to reach out to me directly.
Thanks, Nick. Other sharing. Anybody else?
Nancy?
Yes.
This is Lori Piper with the Kansas SBDC in Manhattan.
Thank you.
Lori. If I could tell people about an event that we have next week in recognition of National Veteran Small Business Week. We're having a morning of resources and discussion. We're going to be talking about financing, business support resources, government contracting, and we're going to have a panel discussion by veteran business owners. We are looking at construction, technology, agriculture, and general products and services. And we have presenters from the SBA, SBDC, Kansas Procurement Technical Assistance Center, Kansas Farm Services Agency, Kansas Department of Agriculture, USDA, K-State Technology Development Institute, the Veterans Business Resource Center, and hopefully I haven't forgotten anybody, as well as our veteran business owners.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. And if you have a flyer that you'd like to send to me, I can send that out with the follow-up recording.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Nancy, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, this is Wayne Bell with the Small Business Administration. Just wanted to say a few things. Firstly, we collaborate often with Network Kansas, so it's great to hear Steve this morning. He is a bit famous, certainly in our neck of the woods. A few things. Often when Network Kansas or when e-community funds come into play, in many scenarios, they are kind of combined with SBA funding to get a deal done. So we've seen a lot of deals that have used multiple sources to come together. I want to transition just a bit. We do have a few events that are coming up. So Lori Piper just mentioned an event that's happening in Manhattan, Kansas that as she pointed out, we're going to be a part of on November the 8th. That's a part of the National Veteran Small Business Week. So 1 Million Cups in Wichita on Wednesday, November the 6th. There's a similar event where 2 veteran business owners are going to be talking about their businesses, and the audience will get the opportunity to hear more about them and to learn how they may have used SBA resources, to help in their growth of their businesses. In addition, there are 2 events that I really want to highlight for Western Kansas. So on November the 20th, there's a event that we've titled Lender Rodeo. It's a Meet the Lenders event for business owners to be able to connect with perhaps lenders that are in the immediate area and some lenders that are in other locations from around the state that are going to be coming out to Hayes. That's going to take place, and we're going to send you all of the details, but that's November 20th. It's going to be on the campus of Fort Hays State University. I believe it goes from 11:30 until 3:30. And then the very next day, we've got a similar event that is taking place in Garden City. That is another Meet the Lender event, and that's November the 21st. And again, I'll be sending you, as soon as we wrap up, I'll send you the information that you could share with partners. But those 2 events, and there are a few other things that are coming up, but I think I'll stop there. There's a Rural and Independent Innovators Conference, and I think the Small Business Development Centers may have shared information on that, but if not, we'll be sure to get you the flyers for each of these events so that you could share them with the group. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Wayne. That would be really helpful. I think that's Tuesday, November 12th, and November 13th is the Rural and Independence Innovators Conference at Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Dodge City. But I would appreciate it if you'd send me that flyer again. It'd be great.
Will do. Thank you so much. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Wayne. I don't think we can overstress what Steve talked about in terms of his application. I think that the power of what Kansas can and will do together is based on the connections that I see on this screen today. It gives me shivers to see this many people gathered in one place. And the more we know about and promote each other's work, the more that we are knowledgeable about what's going on, the more the state will light up with opportunities and growth. And it's just a happier way to live. Any other thoughts before we go? Nobody's ever been mad because we got off the phone earlier than expected. Well, this call will be recorded and will be, I'll send it out to the folks later on. Next month, our speaker is Jerry Horton. I got this one from the Rural Innovation and Rural and Independent Innovators Conference in January too. I filled up the whole slate this year from those conferences in January. They really are good opportunities for learning. But Jerry Horton is the technology director with Blue Valley Communication, and he's going to talk about cybersecurity, why it's important and where do we start. And I've been ending our calls with a little thought for the day. And this week is election week, and don't forget to vote. Our thought for the day is it's easier to be cynical, to accept that change isn't possible and politics is hopeless, and to believe that our voices and actions don't matter. But if we give up now, then we forsake a better future. And that's Barack Obama. Thank you all for what you're doing. Thank you, Network Kansas, for powering for that 159 page application and bringing us all together. I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Thank you.
Talk to you next month.
Thank you.
hear people share a little more
Yeah.
today.